Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vishavdeep, and I welcome you all on Unacademy Computer Science channel. As I promised to all of you that I am going to have lots of guests for you so that you can learn from their experiences, their expertise. And in that particular series, we have today along with us Mr. Anirudh Kushwa, and he is going to give you lots of advices, of course, with his experiences, whatever he has taken in the industry, in the masters, and lots of small tips and tricks he can give you for your career building, plus for your if you are preparing for gate, also for that also he can give some tips. So first of all, welcome all of you. Please welcome Mr. Anirudh Kushwa to our channel. And before we ask the questions or before we go ahead with him, just let me know that my video and audio, everything is proper or not. If you can confirm, then we will start with the session. Okay, great. So first of all, let's hear up from Anirudh that what exactly he is up to and what his profile is. Please introduce for our learner who you are, sir.
Thanks, Vishavdeep, for that warm welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all of us who have joined this session so far, and maybe who join later. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Anirudh. I have been a close friend to Vishavdeep here, and we did a master's together in IISc. I am a computer science graduate throughout, as in I did my bachelor's from IISc Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Then I cleared GATE. I got to join IISc. Again, did my M.Tech ME there. From there, I joined IT industry. So I have been in that industry, like IT, for last 8.5 years now. Mainly in security domain. Day-to-day basis, I do code, design, and I try to look for better ways to solve different problems. That's kind of gist of it, what I do. And I hope that I do add some values for a time that you're going to spend with us today.
Okay, before we go ahead, I definitely will have some words from my end also for our guest today. I can tell you one thing: if you want to learn something, if you want to learn anything which is new to you, which is unknown to you, which is like beyond your imagination, you can learn. And that particular thing I learned from my friend Anirudh. So any new technology you are afraid of, sir, how we will learn this, we don't know anything about this or that or this, we will have certain tips from our guest today that how you can approach a very new thing about which you don't know anything about. So definitely we will have certain these ideas about also, plus we will definitely learn few more things. But straight away, before go ahead with any kind of discussion, straight away I would like to have very important question, which is a matter of concern with all of my students right now is, sir, how much an M.Tech from master or masters from a good college like IISc makes difference in the life? The most important question for the day.
Well, that's a very broad kind of a question, but I'll definitely share my experience. And why does it matter to do masters? Plus, if we have worked hard, what's the difference that we can have from a master's from, let's say, IISc or IITs or any prestigious college for that sake? See, the problem that we have right now is what to do in life. For example, that's a generic one. Secondly, what as a really young aspirant, what I had in mind is how can I learn a job? How can get started to make a living? The basic differences that I had in mind is it comes to the fact that when I was preparing for GATE, I never heard of IISc. It's like first time I got to know there is this college because I got an offer letter from IISc, and a few days back my tutor has kind of told me, okay, you can get into IISc, let's try there. From my experience, what I can definitely tell is the way of thinking and the way you approach a problem is drastically different from like what you do from masters and what you do in bachelor's. So the key difference that you might have in both the curriculum is, pinned on how do you see the problem and how to look for solution. So I'll give you a very concrete example as such. So when I was doing bachelor's, what I had in my mind is, okay, I have this yearly exam, that half yearly exam, and in that there's going to be a paper, 10 questions, I have to answer those. Now there's a reference material, and most of the time you can think is that questions that are going to be there, they are like specific sets, because every year you have those repeated questions and you can solve them. So the approach, the thought process that you mind is that I need to find those questions, what can come in that question paper. So basically you are running like a horse where you're just looking at one set of question paper, those 3 hours, and you want to just crack it. Now, when it comes to IISc per se, that's not the problem. So you're not like following a book where you have a question paper. You are actually working with a professor. And that professor is like a world-class professor. He's not just joking around. So he has written books, he knows what he's doing, and he's solving a problem which has not been solved yet. So he's not going to waste his time that, okay, you do just write questions and get away from me. What he's going to do is, he's going to work on you, and he's going to ask you problems that he thinks will invoke your thought process. So you basically spend your time working on problems that has not been solved yet, and you are spending time to understand the processes that has been done by other lead researchers in the world to solve that problem. In that process, what happens is you tend to look for clues other than what you have. Let's say you have a problem where you want to optimize one algorithm to solve one specific set of let's say some kind of algorithm. Now, the traditional approach would be that you go to a book and try to read about it. But that's not it. Here in IISc, like in Masters, what you have to do is, you have to, go through what other folks are doing in the world right now that is not published. So that might be some papers, there might be some theories. Now, to talk it is very easy. But when you go into the paper, it becomes really difficult to understand what this paper is based upon. Then you start the recursive algorithm. Okay, you have got this paper, but how come this guy got into this solution? So you're not looking at just a question and answer. No. What you're looking at, I have a question and I need to answer why does it exist and how it has been solved before and what I can add it new to it. So it can, inch towards the reality, or it can inch towards a solution which can be used further by other folks. So that's the difference. The masters, or at least the masters from IISc, is not about a question and answer to it. It's about how you approach a problem and how you derive a solution out of it. And the common misconception that we have is, if there is a question, you will always have a full answer. That's not correct. So you might have a problem, you might solve a part of it, and the moment you do, taking your cue, other folks might develop another solutions on top of it. So that's how the thought process is not just a question paper of 3 hours. It's just the way that you think about the problem, the way you solve about it, and the way that you think, okay, where it can be applied. So that's the basic difference of doing a master's from IISc that I can definitely vouch for.
So, entirely what our guest has told you is, in a summarized manner, your attitude towards the problem will change if you go for masters in a big college like IISc. So you will be thinking differently, how to approach, how to solve. That will not be your goal, that how to reach to the destination or how to reach to the solution. Your destination or your journey will be more important in this particular procedure, that how exactly you will start, which way you need to go towards, and what are the different possible answers or solutions I can get through from this particular position, and then choosing the correct one or the better one. That will be your attitude after. Definitely Definitely that will be a really good attitude change you'll be having after doing masters from the IISc or really good college. So it will definitely encourage all the students here that yes, they want to have that change. Okay, one question which is linked to the previous question, made a change, made a big shift. Previously we were looking for a question and its solution directly, no any extra thinking approach or no any attitude change. Now after masters, attitude change has been done. Now I'm having that attitude of not never give up. Okay, I'm having attitude of like, okay, I can solve the problems, I can solve the tough problems also. How this helps in the industry to grow a person? I mean, how the industry experiences changes after doing masters from IISc like a institution.
Well, that's a very interesting question, and I think your success and maybe not success in industry might depend upon it. So let me fall back to the same idea that I had. It's like you've done your masters in IISc, and the thing that you learn is not what is the question to what is the answer to a question, is rather than how do you solve the question. Now, when it translates to IT industry, it has very different implications. So what does it mean is, um, so IT industry, as if you look at it, right, it's not a single piece. It's like a very wide industry. It has like lots of applications. You tell about any field that you know about your home, you can see IT everywhere around it. Even if you're able to see both of ours, it's IT somewhere. So coming back to the point where how does it affect your thought process when you apply the same principles into IT? So the first and foremost thing is that most probably whatever field that you have chosen for a master's, I think whatever specialization that you have taken, companies who are working in that field, they will pick you up. So you get to choose mostly that what company that you want to work for. At the same time, whatever knowledge that you've learned in that particular domain, you can apply that, because it's going to be the case that most IT companies will be solving problem for tomorrow. Um, Coming back to the question again, that how do how does your approach change? So let me give you a concrete example. Um, let's assume that you have to write a piece of software that does any work. So for this conversation, let's think about, let's say it's just going to take some information from user, process it, and let's say dump it into a DB or somewhere. So this is a very simple example. So normally what you do is, if you had a traditional approach, you will look for solutions that are already there. Maybe I find a DB, maybe I find some SQL statements, and maybe let's just dump it. But when it comes to your, the flair, the curiosity, what happens is you get this kind of a thought process where you say, okay, problem is there. How many people will use it? What is the dimension of my problem? How many people are going to use it? What is the amount of data that we're going to handle? Do you want it to keep 24/7? What happens if the power goes out? What happens if the hard disk goes out? Is it applicable to only specific set of users who are registered in the system? How long do I want to database to store this information? Do you want me to store this information for like this next 20 years, or do you want me to store this information just for a couple of hours till I read it? So what happens is, you are not just looking at a simple problem. What you're looking at, the first step is what the problem looks like. You try to dismantle it into very small pieces, so you have this clear mental picture that how the data is coming, what needs to be done, like that is what is your kind of requirement that you need to have, and then finally when it comes to the solution, for each of those parameters that you have dismantled by looking at the problem, you will find different solution. Then comes the second phase, like give or take, where you have to balance a solution. So for example, let's say I want to have this data retention where I want to keep the data for next 20 years. Then you need to think, right? How much data I need? How much data will I have in 20 years? I need to have storage for that much. How much data I'm getting per day? Because 20 years is a very long time. I will look for databases that have kind of a cold storage where I can reduce my cost. So what happens is, if you look at the initial statement that I made was that, okay, we have some input from user and we just want to store it. So as a college student, I would have thought, okay, let me write a web page, I'll get some information and I'll dump it into a DB, get done with it, I'm done. But if you ask me today, I will ask you like 100 of questions, what do you want from this particular process. So this change in thought, in how do you approach the problem, and this clarity about what needs to be done, that clarity or that curiosity in your mind, it actually is as a output or the outcome of whatever work that I've done in IISc. So it's similar to whatever research that they do. You basically get a paper and then you have just lots of questions, and until you have all the questions answered within your mind, you keep on researching, you keep on documenting. This is not so different, but it's easier than said, because since I have already experienced that kind of workflow, that kind of experience, that kind of challenges in IISc, things are very easy here. So that's the edge that will differentiate engineer from a solution, or let's say from an architect or a very successful engineer, for ease of this conversation. So to all the folks who are entering into who are preparing for at least IT industry, have this curiosity in your mind that whenever you're trying to find the solution for any problem, I urge to ask hell lot of questions for to clarify your mindset and to understand what the problem is. So that's something that definitely you can have from doing masters from any prestige college. They normally have the same approach, and the work that they have is like cutting edge, right? So this is like all whatever people are doing right now in the moment. So you get a lot of challenges to solve.
Okay, so what we can take out of this entire journey of Anirudh in entire such kind of piece of work is, you guys are having an approach of solving a simple problem. That approach will be straightforward when you are not having any kind of experience. But when you have experience, when you have more understanding of the entire working domain, then you will have more questions, you will have more type of solution, you will add on more things in that simple solution. Those things may be related to the security or data retention, or maybe depends on the domain. So that kind of thinking is developed in initially the I should say that particular thinking takes birth when you go for masters in IISc kind of college, and after that it can grow and grow and grow as you work in the industry. Fine. One more question which everybody wants to know, that how a person should approach the first 2 years of employment. Just because as soon as the person goes to industry, maybe after B.Tech or masters, however, those 2 years are very crucial for the growth, entire lifeline long growth in IT industry. So how you take that particular 2 years as how you approached your first 2 years, and how the students should take first 2 years. Maybe you made some mistakes, or maybe you have solved some others mistake in your own implementation, so that it can help the learners to target their biggest achievement in the industry, plus how they actually can grow quickly or rapidly in the IT industry.
Right. Very kind of good question, I would say. Different approaches can be taken. Different people will have different kind of experience altogether, but I can definitely share mine. So the first 2 years are kind of crucial, because you are like changing your whole world. You were in college, you had this bunch of other kids who are with you, and you're going to classes, learning something, doing things together. But when it comes to corporate, when an industry, basically you are in an environment where people are expecting some results out of you. And fresh out of college, you don't have any training, what the world is like. You don't have any experience. So that becomes a bit tricky because you have this, fresh cells in your body. So basically, you can learn anything that you want. At the same time, you don't have the knowledge, like what is the right thing to do in that particular environment. So let me throw a very simple analogy. So when I talk about my marks, like when I appear in an exam, I am the only one who is writing that exam, nobody else. So whatever number that I have got is because of my knowledge and whatever I was, able to conjure up in those few hours. But when it comes to industry, you are not alone. You're working among a group of people, and you're trying to achieve that particular goal. Maybe it's a software release, maybe it's a deployment, or maybe it is just a use. So you need to understand this basic difference, that there are people who are working collectively in a group to achieve something. You're just a part of it. Now, what happens is first 2 years, basically you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the software, the systems and everything. You need to identify people who can solve your queries. The first thing is that I did was to identify people who do work. By that I mean is, let's say there's a build system but compiles the software. So I need to find people who are like handling that. So some mail chain, some ask around, you talk to your managers, talk to anybody who is in your team. Okay, I need to know more about this system. Who is the person that can tell me about it? So you find that person. Then you go to that person and you ask, okay, I have this doubt, how the system works. Can you please tell me? Chances are people will be happy to help you out. Obviously, you can't expect that they will like stop everything, whatever they're doing, and like help you out. So you need to find a way by which you can convince them to give some of their knowledge to you. So the first step is, since I don't know anything, I need to know things. So step number one, initially have contact with people, talk to them, and ask for knowledge. It's not a big deal. Even though you were a topper in college, that's fine. You don't know all the things that I can tell. Even I believe that I don't know all the things. We have to keep on learning every time. So keep on asking questions, try to learn more systems, and try to understand the process. So first 1 year, definitely make friends with other folks, try to get knowledge, and there would be some senior folks. So what I did was I went ahead and I requested them that, okay, I need this information. Can you please tell me how these things work? So they were more than happy to help me out, to make me understand how processes work and how the software is working. So that gives you two advantages. First of all, you made a very good impression on other folks because you were ready to kind of understand, okay, that I'm still a student, I need to learn. Can you please teach me? And the second thing is, they will have this impression that, okay, that this guy is actually trying to learn things. Maybe he has some good intentions within him, where he wants to improve the system. So that's kind of the first year report that I had. Then I think after your training, you will have this bugs or some kind of work assignment to you. So that's where you need to apply the skills that you learned from your masters. You have the same set. You have a problem that you need to solve, and you will have this bunch of questions that you don't know. So some questions you can ask by your own caliber. Maybe you are searching over the internet, how other people have solved this problem. You kind of follow the solutions, you write your own. And let's say some of the comments are not clear, okay, why we are doing these things. So find somebody through your manager or anybody in the team, okay, I have this problem, but why we are doing this? And slowly you build up this solution in your mind, okay, I have this very well-defined problem, let me just solve it. So my gist for the first 2 years is get around, ask a lot of questions to other folks, increase the knowledge as much as you can. Then first of all, whenever you have this problem with your hand, follow the same approach. Define the problem as clear as you can, approach the solution one by one. If you're stuck, ask for help. Because remember, you're not working alone. It's not a question paper. It's a teamwork, and you all are trying to solve the same problem. It's going to help you a lot, definitely.
So, what we can take out of entire journey of Anirudh of first 2 years is learn, be eager, be curious to learn and learn and learn, so that based on that learning you can build up your experience, and then at the end you can say that yes, I am capable to solve any kind of problem. Through any kind of problem to me, I will solve it, and once you show it to the company or industry or your team members, definitely you will have a really rapid chances to grow. Few more questions we have here. We are not letting you stop talking just because we want every single experience whatever you have gained here to be utilized for us, so that we and all our learners can learn. Next question I am having is, people used to say that IT world is little bit hectic or too, it's too much pressure we have in the industry. What's your take on that particular thing? That is it hectic or comfortable or very easy? How you can take it?
Ah, that's a very subjective question. Uh, so I had like different experiences with different teams. I have not been working on the same team for last 8 years, but I can definitely tell that the workload is not constant as such. It's not that if you started with a hectic job, you will end up with it. But does the hectic job exist in IT? Definitely they exist. What you can do about it? Sometimes you can't do anything about it, but sometimes you can. So let me talk about this hectic. So there are like different. So okay, let me step back. So what happens is when you talk about IT, right? A lot of people think about it as like C++, Java, Python, or some kind of programming that you're doing, but it's not like that. IT has like different parameters. So let's assume that you want to run a web server. So there will be some people required who will develop UI. There will be some people required to develop the backend software, like database, connections, logic. Then there would be some people who will be required to maintain that server. By maintain, what I mean is sometimes hard disk crashes. Somebody needs to replace it. Somebody needs to make sure that the power is always up. Somebody needs to make sure that the hardware is upgraded, software patches are there. Otherwise, it can be hacked. So as an IT, we have this different kind of domains and different kind of engineering involved. So for example, I am in development engineering. Similarly, we have solutions engineering. Then we have architects, product managers, program managers, and whatnots. A lot of it. So what happens is when it comes to hectic and kind of a work balance life, the industry attitude is now changing. Recent pandemic has kind of forced people to choose work from home. So for most of the folks, I think it has been working out pretty well. For hectic jobs, so I have been in a couple of teams where workload is very high, but you need to understand the word hectic, right, the workload, it can derive from two things. Either the work that you're doing is kind of a time bound, where you have a lot of things to do and you have very less time. So basically the volume of work is very high, and as an individual or as a like all the teams collectively if you put together, it will take, let's say, more than 8 hours a day to just work on it. The second type of work that I can like describe as hectic is the process itself is hectic. So you need to work every day 8 hours back to back. You can't miss a deadline. So even though your work is limited to 8 hours, you might be kind of running into a schedule from one meeting to another, one meeting to another. So what happens is in hectic schedules like this, where you have to consistently meet the deadlines, it can take a toll on your body. That's for sure. Um, so how to handle it? The first thing is again very subjective. So I was unmarried for what, like first 4 years now of my IT industry. So I had this all this lot of time with me. I don't have anything to do after my office hours. So after 5 p.m. still had time. So I used to work a lot. I used to think that okay, this hard working is good. Let me solve the problems right away. Let me do whatever I can. But eventually, what I understood is there is no end to the problems. So you solve today something, tomorrow something new will come up. So what you need to do is if you get stuck in a hectic kind of a schedule, you need to see two things. Either you are kind of in a hectic process kind of a job where things are hectic because they are supposed to be like this, or you are in a job where work is very high and you are not able to do it. So both have a different kind of approach. It all depends on you. If you are not able to like cope up with it, definitely you have to talk to people. Do not keep it in the mind. Okay, okay, I will be, no, I will not. I will do it for let's say 1 more month, and I'll leave the company, and it's not going to work out. You need to think that you are also a person, and if it is not bearable to you, talk to people. So as I said, like this is not an individual work that you are responsible for the success of all the team. You are part of team. So if you are not able to do it, it's the responsibility of other folks to make sure that you are unburdened or you are delivering your optimum work. So my suggestion is, if you're on a hectic schedule or hectic workload, talk to your manager that this is creating problems for you and work out a solution. Most of the time it will help you, if not 100%, but it can definitely reduce the load. That's what I can offer to
Okay,
this question right
so
now.
of course the things will be hectic sometimes, things will be comfortable, depends on the person to person, job to job, and of course, as our guest Anirudh told us, that yes, it is a very, very subjective answer. So depends on the company, depends on the work, team, and how what kind of personality or character you are having. Based on it, the things you may feel it hectic or you may feel it little comfortable. But yes, definitely you will be asked to work on very, very hard problems and very, very tough and complex problems in the industry, and which will make you think like, yes, I'll have to improve my learning, most importantly, so that I can solve the same problems in less time, so that I can spare my extra time for whatever I want to do. चलिए, और कुछ क्वेश्चन है मेरे दिमाग में, डेफिनेटली मैं पूछूंगा. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो है वो है मेरा कि किस तरीके से एग्जैक्टली स्टूडेंट्स को अपनी टेक्निकल नॉलेज को इंप्रूव करना चाहिए. लाइक हाउ अ पर्सन कैन थिंक ऑफ ऑल दीज स्किल सेट्स, लाइक मे बी पाइथन और जावा और मे बी वेब डेवलपमेंट और मे बी मशीन लर्निंग विच इज राइट नाउ ऑन द ट्रेंड, and then they are preparing for gate also. So what should be the person's focus initially when they are, let's say, preparing for gate? So they should go for these skill set also, and then based on that, they can get the job, or they should have a balance between those, or how a person should manage all these things. Just because students are so much confused, sir, placements are coming, so sir, everybody is learning this technology, should I also go for this? I am preparing for gate, not getting the time, so should I go for this or not? So what is your take on that particular thing?
Hmm. Well, that's okay. Let me talk from my perspective. So the question would that I think that we're asking here is, in
During
time
gate
of
preparation, actually a
uh-huh.
person should improve more skill set of problem solving or developing a software, going for learning a programming language and new technologies like machine learning, etc., etc., or should the person limit the time for these technologies and first focus on mainly for gate, just because it can give them admission in masters? So how you should feel, or you should give an advice to those fellows that who are preparing for gate as their primary goal?
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So let me put up a perspective. So you have this 4 years, right, in a bachelor's as a curriculum. So most probably, I think third or fourth year is when people prepare for GATE, and you try to appear after that. So what happens is, this is the dilemma that I agree, that whether you prepare for your campus placements or you want to prepare for a GATE, I definitely suggest people to take priority on GATE, because a good score in GATE can definitely change your life forever. So because these college years are like once in a lifetime, you don't need to appear for college again and again. So definitely put your GATE as the main goal. Prepare for a better kind of a degree. Masters is got. Uh, I can tell that since I had masters, I got one promotion already when I joined the industry. So compared to the bachelor's, you get one promotional extra. And at the end of the day, the master's helps a lot in later point of career, because when it comes to, let's say, promotions within the same company, these points matter. So there are some companies rules where they say that if you want to be an architect or a similar kind of technical person, you need to have masters. So as a workaround, what people do is that during the company tenure, they will appear for a kind of masters with a kind of with a university which is working on a corporate program with the company. So either today or tomorrow you need to have masters. It's good to have right now because you can definitely fight your way and get a placement at a very good college. So first of all, make sure that you want to achieve masters as your first goal is in your mind. Now, coming to the balancing act, where you want to prepare for the placement. So from there, you need to understand placements, right? When I used to take interviews, so for college students, we don't expect them that they know the whole technology spectrum. We don't, because the college is teaching you about theoretical science. They are not teaching you how the companies work, how to write the software or how to run the software. Those are like kind of implementation details. You can learn them on the fly on the job. Nobody's going to stop you. What we focus is on algorithms, data structures, and your concepts. So for example, if I were a company where I'm working on, let's say, graphic cards, or let's say chips, and I'm preparing some kind of hardware, then definitely I want to have folks who know how the organization works, how the operating systems work, how the things are working internally. So my focus will be only on students about what they know about the concepts, plus how good is their algorithm or problem solving approach. So algorithm is mostly what data structures, very simple problems that they're there, and plus complexity analysis and kind of puzzle solving. So what I would say is when you have this dilemma, let's say gate paper is what defined in Feb, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
So you already know when the gate is coming, and you have this campus selection which is going to run in parallel. So I would say is, since gate is not something that you're going to prepare for just a couple of weeks and prepare for it, you're going to prepare it for, let's say, last 1 year or 2 years. So my very crisp suggestion is that you start preparing for the gate from the day one, as if the exam is tomorrow. You be that serious, and whenever your placement comes, there are a couple of books that are recommended for algorithms and problem solvings that you can use for, let's say, out of a day. If you're getting 4 hours that you can spend on your personal time, then I would say spend 3 hours for your gate and give 1 hour to your placements. And regarding placements, don't think that placements are really hard as such. But definitely, if you have this mental pressure in your mind that what happens if I miss out in the placement, if I don't get placed, that's a natural thing to have. But don't worry about it, because if you prepare right now, there are other companies coming. You can always prepare for companies. Companies are looking for bright students, so don't worry about it. There are less opportunities for you. So coming back to the question, what I can offer you on a dilemma, I would say prepare for GATE, keep it as a main focus. And for this placement, there are a couple of books, even Vishavdeep or even I can recommend, or there are already a lot of literature on it. Practice that for, let's say, 1 hour or 2 hours a day. That's good enough. Maybe for a couple of months before the placements, because placements tend to have the same questions which are repeated again and again. It's just not going to be a rocket science where they're going to ask, okay, tell me how to reach to the moon. They're not going to ask that. They will ask you very specific set of questions. Those are repeated, and you can find them easily available online.
Okay, so yes, that was a really great suggestion that you need to balance out. As I also always say to the student that have 1 hour per day for your coding practice also. Along with that, you can of course have 3-4 hours per day for your gate preparation, and both will be in the balance. There will not be any problem. Fine. So I would ask one last question. Any last tip you want to give to all those students who are preparing for GATE exam and preparing for masters? I mean, they are preparing to go for masters in a big college like IIT or IISc. What last tip you can give to them?
Well, see, so in my batch, right, there were 60 folks who joined with me, and 60 were our seniors, and we had these other departments. So what happens is you just search for like college name, IISc students, and just search for papers, and then you'll see a like long list of papers and research that they're doing. So I did this when I was trying to join IISc, and I was kind of intimidated by it, that whether I will be able to do it or not, whether I will be able to achieve, whether will I fail among other all this awesome guys there. So my suggestion to you is, don't take sweat. Hard work always pay off. You study, focus on one thing, leave everything out of it. That's number one. Number two, if you are thinking that just clearing the gate will set your life, it's not going to happen. So I can tell you whatever I have prepared for GATE, just to clear that exam, was nothing compared to the work that I had to do in IISc. So morning 7, I woke up. I used to walk 8 kilometers a day because I didn't have a cycle in the campus. And I used to sleep by 1 or 2 or 3 in the night. So for those 2 years, I had very less sleep. The primary reason was I was so much love in the work that they were doing. I never in my life had the same experience where I was exposed to such a wide variety of knowledge. So it was very exciting to me. So what I can say is, if you look at M.Tech or your GATE exam, don't take it as an exam. Just think about the life that you will have after GATE. You have so much exciting opportunities outside, or not outside, like after GATE, and there's so much more to learn in your life. So what I would say is that if you're preparing for GATE, give you 100%, nothing less. Work with Vishavdeep. He's brilliant in teaching things, and I have known him for so many long years, and I can definitely tell that he will generally have answers for most of your problems. There were like many times where where I could have like suggested you to like follow some kind of pattern, but I think Vishwadeep is more qualified to do that. But my personal principle that I had followed during my GATE exam was the preparation is that I had this idea in my mind where I just want to score 70% in my college degree. That's about it. And whatever time that I could spare out of my college time, so no partying, no like night outs, no funny activities, all dedicated to GATE. So I hope that you can also achieve a not similar but a better dedication towards the GATE exam and achieve your dreams. I think that's what I think the core of this whole blabbering would be hard work and dedication. So dedicate your time, dedicate your effort, and dedicate your thought process into GATE, and you will go through it. I'm sure of it.
Okay, so I can summarize all those tips in very few words. Like, if you have your GATE as the primary goal, go ahead with it and achieve it. Very simple. That's it. Whatever the time you have, you can spare from any other activity, and you can take it for the GATE preparation, just because it's your primary goal and it will give you a better career opportunity. I would thank Mr. Anirudh Kushwaha to give us so much of knowledge and inside stories of the industry, work style, and his own experiences. And I would thank all of you, all the learners, to listen this particular interview so that you can learn. Definitely, I will say one last thing to all of my learners is, please, whatever you have learned from this particular session, try to implement it in your life, and definitely you will be having a very bright future ahead. Once again, I would like to thank Anirudh Kushwaha for joining us here and enlightening all the learners. And once again, I thank all of learners to join and learn from here. Wish you good luck and thank you so much.
Have a nice day, guys.